Welcome to Library Out Loud, a conversation about any and all things related to the Spokane County Library District. Library Out Loud is brought to you by the Spokane County Library District and our friends at STCU. Now, here's your host, Jane Baker.
Hello, welcome to Library Out Loud. I am Erin Dodge, the Communications Specialist at Spokane County Library District. I am filling in for Jane Baker today, who's your normal host of Library Out Loud. I'm here with Radical Rick of Extreme Science. You might know him from KHQ Saturday mornings. Also, your videos are on khq.com.
Yes.
And you might know him from birthday parties, school assemblies, library shows.
Anywhere I can get in front of the kids and do some science and blow stuff up. Yep.
Blow stuff up. Great. And
Thank you for having me.
We have some things here that we're going to get to a little bit later.
Yes.
I'm excited about that. But first, science. What drew you to science, or who, or what inspired you to go towards science?
Well, the love of kids. I love working with kids. When I was growing up, my dad was a carpet layer, and I was going to be a carpet layer. I mean, I just knew. I was out there helping him. From the time I could put nails in a staple gun, I was out there helping him, and so
Wow.
as much as I thought I was helping anyway. And so I always knew I was going to be a carpet layer, and so when I got out of school, I started laying carpet. And a friend of mine one day says, "Hey, this new place is coming in town. You need to go apply out there." And he says, "Yeah, it's called Hewlett-Packard." And I was like, "What in the world is Hewlett-Packard?" I had no idea what Hewlett-Packard was or anything back then in 1980. And so I went ahead and I went out there and I applied, forgot all about it. 9 months later, they ended up calling me, and I ended up getting an interview, got the job, worked there for 20 years. It's a great job, loved working there. Worked my way from production.
What were you doing there?
Started out in production, just building PC boards, and I ruined enough of them. They had me start off in board repair, so I went to board repair and learned that. Then ended up going into the documentation group, and from there, I always love trying to figure out how things work.
Sure.
And so a job opened up in the process support group, dealing with all of the problems out on the floor, on the production floor. So if a customer had a problem with a board, they would call our group. We would go out there and investigate and figure out, okay, what went wrong? Was it somebody put the wrong part in? We got the wrong part from the manufacturer. They put it in the wrong location. Figure out what happened, resolve the issue, clear stock, and so it's basically in the quality department. And then we ended up, as Hewlett-Packard changed to Agilent and all, ended up being the customer liaison between our customer divisions worldwide and the suppliers. And so started in with the traveling, which was cool at first, but then that gets old, And it was a great place to work, but after 20 years, I could tell that the layoffs were coming in 2000. So at that time, it was like, okay, so what do I want to be when I grow up? Because I really don't want to go back to laying carpet.
Well, and technology and science are kind of close friends.
Yes. And so I started looking, I had never been to college because I went right into laying carpet and then got this job. And so I started looking at franchises because I figured, franchises, they give you the training.
Sure.
And so I found a franchise called Mad Science based up in Montreal, Canada. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, this is cool. So I went ahead and I flew up to Montreal, visited their site up there, saw what they were doing up there, visited a couple of different mad sciences around the nation, and I was just like, this is really cool. This is what I want to do. I want to be able to interact with kids and impact their lives. And so I started that. I went ahead and I came back and I quit before the layoffs even happened.
Sure.
Took all my retirement, invested into the Mad Science, bought Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, ran that for 4 years. And then at the end of 4 years I lost the business, lost the house, got a divorce, life-changing year, one of those years that was actually a wonderful year, just didn't know it at the time.
Sure.
And so at that point I went out and tried to go back laying carpet and did a few other things, and I just knew I wasn't happy.
Sure.
And
nothing was comparing to the
Yep.
science and the kids.
Yeah, and the Lord was asking me to start the business back up, and and I argued for about 6 months. I'm like, seriously, were you not paying attention last time? Because I lost everything. I'm still O for last time. And he made it very clear. It was one day at church, 2 kids came up to me at different times during that Sunday and both told me the same story, how I had impacted their lives, and they would never forget a message that I gave when they were in Sunday school. They were in high school now, and I had given this message when they were in Sunday school about God's forgiveness using flash paper.
Oh.
And so as soon as I walked out of church, I knew that was the Lord speaking to me, saying, you can impact lives. You can
Yes.
change. You can make a difference in these kids'
wonderful.
lives. And so
And you
stopped by
listened.
well, I was working on that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
still working on that. But on the way home, I stopped by the store, and the little gal at the counter there, probably 18, 19 years old, she stops me and she's like, I know you. She says, I don't think we've ever met. And she says, yeah. She goes, you did my birthday party when I was a little kid.
Oh.
And she goes, I was just telling my best friend the other day that I want to find you someday, and I want to tell you how much, I want to thank you and give you a hug because you
Wow.
impacted my life. You
That's
made
amazing.
a difference.
I'm
I
tearing
know,
up.
it makes me tear up every single time I
That's amazing.
talk about it or think about it, because I impacted her life, and she said,
Yeah.
you honored me so much that day, and I will never forget you for that.
That's great.
And so I walked out and I was like, okay, Lord, I know this is what you want me to do. And so I went down and I got my business license the very next day.
Nice.
Started up
Great.
Extreme Science. My no-compete contract was over with Mad Science, and so it started up Extreme Science, and it's been blessed ever since. So I love working with kids.
Yeah. So, you have a science program at the library Saturdays.
Yes.
It's been a few weekends now, and we're running through, it looks like March 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
So basically this winter.
Yep.
And we've already, we're seeing great things on Facebook, parents saying thank you. I'll have to share that with you. I
Oh.
haven't already.
Yes.
And what a wonderful time. One parent said they're going to go to another one.
Oh,
Like
cool.
their daughter just was super excited.
Very cool.
My daughter went. She loved it.
Mhm.
It's been really great so far. So you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I always say, as long as the kids have as much fun as me, then it's all good.
Good.
I love my job. It took me, after starting this up, it was probably about 3 years into it. A friend of mine, I was talking to him, and I says, I got to go. And he says, I got to go to class. And he's like, oh, what are you taking? I said, no, I'm not taking anything. I got class. And he's like, class? I says, I got to go to work. And that was the first time I realized I actually have a job. I have to work, and it's like, I've never looked at it that way. It is so much fun
Good.
working with kids and
Right.
just inspiring them. And
Right.
Yeah.
And so kids that are inspired by you and want to do something with science, they might say, well, I could be another Radical Rick, or I could be an astronaut or a veterinarian. But what else? What else can they do with science?
everything involves science.
Okay.
And that's what, right now this week in our after-school programs, because we do a 5-week after-school program at various schools, so we'll go in, we'll do an assembly, and then offer the after-school programs. And this week we're working on structures.
Oh.
And it's really cool because in that class we talk about structures and how they're built and the different shapes and the
Okay.
strength of those shapes. And then I challenge the kids to build a house out of playing cards.
Oh.
Has to be at least 2 stories tall.
Okay.
And then we start testing it for strength. And it's my favorite class because the kids get so excited when they're like, you put this 3-ounce weight on it, and they're nervous. They put it on, and it's like, it held, and they take that off, and they put a 1-pound weight, and it held, and then they put a 2.5, 4.5, 5-pound, all the way up to 13 pounds. And it's
Wow.
so fun.
13
when-
pounds on cards.
On a 2-story house. And it's so
Wow.
fun because as you get the first child that's, this one held 4.5, this one held 5, and all the rest of them stop, and they're over there looking and cheering each other on and stuff.
Oh, good.
And I love that class because the excitement of the kids. And then I also I show them different pictures of bridges and the structures and
Right.
stuff. But then just this last weekend, I printed out some more pictures because I found some really cool pictures of some really cool building designs. And so like the Dubai Towers and the, the Cobra Tower I think it's in Kuwait, and just these really cool pictures of
houses hanging off like a cliff.
Oh yeah, I show them that one there. The the lookout on Grand Canyon with the glass floor. There's a glass room that's hanging off the side of a building in Chicago on the 103rd floor that you can step out in. And I talk to them about all of these guys that created this stuff. I tell them whatever you do. I stop and I tell the kids, you can be whatever you want to be. Some of you may be doctors, some of you may be veterinarians, some of you may be teachers, some of you may be a construction worker, but whatever you do it well.
Sure.
Be the best that you can be.
Yeah.
Be creative. And, and then we talk about the fact that, we use science in everything we do. And I encourage the kids to ask their parents, like if something breaks and they're throwing it away, ask their parents if they can keep that and tear it apart and figure out how that thing works. And
that's amazing.
Just dig into it. That's what I used to do as a kid,
Yes.
And hopefully it was all of the stuff that was broken. Sorry, Mom.
And actually at North Spokane, we have the lab, and you're going to be doing one of your shows there. And in the morning before, we have a Take It Apart program, which is just that.
Very cool.
Remote controls that don't work anymore, or cell phones, or little electronics, or even a toaster. Take it apart. What does it look like? What are the pieces, and how does it function? Yeah, that's really.
And that's what we need to get with the kids, is to get them to question everything and try to figure out how things work. And it'll help them no matter what field that they go into, because like I say, science is everywhere.
Yes.
One of my favorite classes that we used to do for the after-school program was a Science of Magic class, because kids they're excited about magic. They want to see this, and they're just amazed by this. And so I started up this Science of Magic class, and the idea was to get them to question everything, try to figure out how it works. So I would do a magic trick and then ask them, okay, I don't have any magical powers, so how did I do that?
Yeah.
And then they'd throw out ideas, and we'd say, okay, well, let's talk about that. So if you did this, what would happen? And so, we'd work our way through the process to try to figure out how this thing worked.
Critical thinking.
Exactly. And so I loved that class. I ended up stopped doing that, and I gave it to a friend of mine, Cecil the Magician, just because.
Oh, and we've had Cecil. He's great.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah. So he's starting to do those after-school programs because he's, the parents see him as a magician, see me as science, and some of the parents, I started hearing complaints that I didn't know my kid was going to learn magic tricks. I thought they were going to learn science. Well, apparently you didn't read the paper when you signed it. But, and so I started thinking, well, if I'm hearing a couple of complaints here and there, how many complaints am I not hearing?
Sure.
And I didn't want to have that reputation. So that's why I said, Cecil, here, you take these.
Like
it'll help you out. It'll help me out. I'll go right back to the structures and forces and all of these science classes that the parents expect.
Speaking of forces, that's what you're doing at the library. And we're going to take a break now, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about that program and look at all the cool things that you brought.
Yes,
All right, and we'll be back right after the break.
Is your child having trouble coping with a personal disability, but don't know where to go? Consider our friends at Breakthrough Incorporated. Breakthrough takes great pride in mentoring their DDA clients who have intellectual disabilities and their BRS clients who have challenging behaviors toward the creation of safe, appropriate, ethically sound life goals. They integrate programs at school and home to enrich their lives. They work hard to make a positive difference in you and your family's lives. Breakthrough provides a highly structured, fully staffed residential setting in local neighborhoods, 6 in Spokane and 2 in the Tri-Cities. Diagnoses affect people differently, so their service to each resident is unique, giving them the opportunity to grow and evolve. For more information on Breakthrough, visit their website at breakthroughincorporated.org.
Hi, this is Kurt Stockwell with Well Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. A website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.
What? You haven't been to the library lately? Stop in today and see that the library is more than books. Spokane County Library District facilities feature on-site technology, including Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, as well as free use of meeting rooms. The Library District offers events and programs for all ages, from story times to career development and employer classes to Social Security workshops. Our staff is well trained and happy to help. Find out more about your library at scld.org.
From the Spokane County Library District, and I'm here with Radical Rick, and we're talking about science, and especially the Extreme Science with Radical Rick Forces program that we have at the library on Saturdays, and that you're doing and sharing. It's interactive with the kids, and we have some fun things to be interactive today. Oh, and you can find all that information in Engage, which is our lovely program and event guide. You get that at the library or online at scld.org. So, Rick, what do we have? What are we doing?
Well, I brought in some stuff from the Forces class, but I also brought in a couple of balloons here.
Okay.
Now, kids, you never want to inhale anything that could potentially hurt you. Some gases are safe to inhale, some are not. You know, like the air that's around us is made up of several different gases like oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide. All of that is safe to breathe. Here we have a couple of helium balloons.
Okay.
And so if you go ahead and
I'm
you can
willing
go
to
ahead.
do this.
Yep, go ahead and take a deep breath and inhale. And then,
Hello.
there you go.
That's
So
fun.
helium will actually raise your voice because it is 6 times lighter than air. Now, since it is 6 times lighter than air, your vocal cords are vibrating, and as they vibrate,
They can vibrate a lot
and you
easier.
sound like this.
Yes. So now here I
Sound like a
have
munchkin.
some. Now you had mentioned that you have asthma, so we're not going to have you inhale this one. I don't think it would hurt you, but just, to play it safe. We always want to be safe. Now, this one here is actually sulfur hexafluoride. Now,
Okay. Let's see what that does.
Sulfur hexafluoride is 6 times heavier than air. Since it is 6 times heavier than air, now our vocal cords are having a hard time vibrating, and so now it changes our voice. Since there is no oxygen in this and it is really heavy, my voice, all of that gas is in the bottom of my lungs right now.
Okay.
And so I have to take very deep breaths and try to blow that out.
Okay, so while you're
In
doing
order-
that,
Go
so
ahead.
this is 6 times heavier, helium 6 times lighter. So we're hearing the effects on our vocal cords. of-
yes.
of
As,
that.
as your vocal cords are vibrating, you can see my voice is still a little bit
Get that out of there.
heavy. Yeah. And so over the next 12 minutes or whatever we're on, my voice may drop down if I run out of air.
'Cause you
There's
might still have a
probably
little
still a
bit in
little bit.
there?
Yeah. So
Okay.
anybody who works around this stuff has to be very careful, especially if they're like down in a ditch. If they hear their voices starting to get heavy or really deep, they have to get out because all of that gas is pushing out all of the oxygen. You can actually fill up a fish tank and then float a boat, an aluminum foil boat, on top of this gas
Oh.
inside the fish tank.
Oh, my
You can
goodness.
do so many cool things with this. I love science.
We're not going to see that right now, but
No.
we are going to see some other things.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So out at the library, we are doing the Forces class. In Forces class, we're going to talk about center of gravity,
Okay.
Newton's 3 laws of motion. You can get things like this balanced bird at the store. And so we talk about how this thing balances. They'll get to try this out. We have other things that the kids will try out. I'll spend the first part of the class just talking about all of the equipment.
Okay.
And then the last half of the class, I put it out there so that the kids can try it. Like
all
our
hands-on.
Yeah, like our alien
Yeah.
antenna. So these alien antennas, if I balance it here, you can see it is balanced perfectly here. We'll talk about inertia, center of gravity.
Okay.
I'll put some weight on here. Ask me, okay, is it still going to balance there? No, now the center of gravity has moved here if you add weight on this. So
Sure.
center of gravity isn't always in the center
center.
of the object. It's the center of mass.
Okay.
This one I'll use talking about inertia, and Newton's first law of motion is known as the law of inertia. Basically, everything has inertia. It's going to stay right there until something makes it move.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or if it's in motion, it's going to continue in a straight line until another force is applied to change its direction.
Yeah.
So these here, like I say, are my alien antenna. So we'll put them on a kid here, and then we'll have them, and I'm in a spinny chair, so I can just
Oh my goodness.
spin around like that. And you can see those don't move. They expect those to go
Wow.
around with them.
Of course.
But the reason it didn't is because the only force that we're applying is the
right
friction
there.
between your head and that part right there. If
Very
I put them on your head and I tap it like that, I apply a force, now we can put them in motion. So we do stuff like that to help the kids understand all of the things that are going on around them. Like this one here with the center of gravity. We'll take this pop bottle here, and if you get it in just the right spot,
Wow.
you can see how we've got it balanced, because
Yeah.
we've got the balance point right here. Got an equal amount of mass on this side as we do on this side. I always ask the kids, okay, if I raise this up and I try it again, now what's going to happen? Well, it's going to fall because now we've got more weight on this
Right.
side. So I'll put this out there, let them try that. I also have a 1 liter bottle. Ask them, okay, do you think that one will balance? Some of them think it will, some of them think it won't.
Okay.
So I encourage them to
Experiment.
try.
Yeah.
And it was so cool at the library this last week. One of the kids actually tried both bottles on there.
Oh.
I had never tried that. I thought that was really cool. And
Awesome.
he got it to balance. And that was 2 weeks ago, and I had
Okay.
told the kids last week. And so one of the girls asked me, well, did he have the big one on top or the on bottom? I said, I can't remember. I wasn't paying
Try it out.
attention. That's what I told her. Try it out. And so she did, and she had the larger bottle on bottom, the smaller one on top, and she got it to balance.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, cool, now I know. And then a couple minutes later, she's like, Radical Rick, look.
Did she do it the other
And
way?
she switched it around, and she
Nice.
got him to balance again. I was
Yeah.
like, that is so cool. And those are the things I love. So we talk about the forces, like the forces that are going on gyroscopes. So gyroscope, you can pull it really fast there. Anything spinning around an axle doesn't want to change its direction. So a gyroscope, you can actually balance it sideways like that,
Wow.
as long as it's spinning, because it's spinning around that axle and it doesn't want to change its direction. I also have a bicycle wheel with handles
Okay.
on it. So the kids, I'll have them hold it out like this,
Sure.
standing on a spinner board. They'll hold it out and I'll spin the bicycle wheel really fast. And if you tip it sideways like this,
Yeah.
it'll actually turn
Oh, and
like
then
this.
they can-
And so it will turn them on this spinner board, just
Very
because of that
cool.
precession force that's going on there. So it's a very hands-on class that we're doing at the library, and I encourage you guys to come out. Bring your kids out. Sign them up. I
Yeah,
think
you have to sign them up
Yes.
because it does fill up, and it's for kids grades 4 and up.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some parents hanging around,
Parents enjoy it just as much as the kids,
Okay.
yes.
but it's for the kids. But
Yes.
the parents can stay and watch. And
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, and we'll challenge them for, with simple things like, and that's what I love about science, simple things like the Hot Wheels track. We've got a Hot Wheels track in there. Talk about centrifugal force and how, remember everything, law of inertia says anything in motion wants to continue in a
Right.
straight line. So as that Hot Wheel car goes around a loop,
Yeah.
I have some loops
Sure.
in there, as that car is going around the loop, it still wants to continue in a straight
Oh,
line. So
okay.
that's the force, that centrifugal force. That centripetal force is changing its direction.
Okay.
Centrifugal force is the force pushing outward. That's
Okay.
what's holding that car to the track. It has to have enough momentum in order to be held to the track.
now is that
And
kind of similar to roller coasters?
Yes,
And
yes,
what's
we
going
talk
on with
about,
that?
yep, we
Okay.
talk about that. And then I
Comes to
challenge them,
mind.
we try it out with just a single track, and usually the car doesn't have enough momentum to go all the way around the loop. So I'll
Okay.
put in a second track on, and depending on which car it is, most of them will go around with just 2 tracks on there.
Okay.
And so I'll say, okay, that was pretty simple. Now, I've got 3 loops here. I want you to see if you can get this car to go around all 3 loops.
Wow.
And in the 8 years that it's been since I put that class together, I've only had 4 groups that did it on their
Oh.
own without me telling them exactly how to
Sure.
do it. I tell them, okay, remember the key is momentum
Okay.
and teamwork.
Yeah.
You have to work together. And most of the kids will take I've got like 20-something
Every-
tracks. They'll take 20-something tracks, and they take the tallest kid, and he's up there standing there trying to hold it up, and that thing will go this is really fast, go down, go around the first loop, goes about halfway around the second loop, and then falls. Because they've got all the 3 loops, boom, boom, boom.
Oh, okay.
And so
So they gotta
during
figure
the
it
free
out.
time,
Yeah.
I'll continue to go around there and say, okay, well, what's going on here? Why is this car stopping here? Eventually, somebody will figure out it's losing momentum. It doesn't have enough momentum there. And so I'll just say, okay, well, how can you get enough momentum? Okay, you've got enough momentum to go around the first loop.
Yeah.
We know it only takes 2 tracks to do that.
Sure.
How can you get
To the
pick
next
up,
one and the next-
add momentum before it gets to the next loop? And then I just
Nice.
walk away.
And then walk away, and then they
Yep, and
given
then
them enough clues.
yeah,
Nice.
and so eventually they will figure that you've got to have the
Yeah.
loops on 3 different levels. You've got to have kids holding them nice and straight so that the car doesn't jump the track,
Sure.
and it's so much fun when they
So-
figure it out.
We're almost out of time, and I want to ask you one more question.
Okay.
So after they've had their afternoon with you or their series at school with you, what can parents do to keep that sort of excitement and momentum going with the kids for science and discovery and exploration?
Do it at home. Just anything. There's so many websites and
Yeah.
so much material
Well, they
out
can
there.
see what you're
They
doing on khq.com.
Yep, I was just going to say they can go out to
Yeah.
khq.com. We've got probably 4.5 years worth of videos on there.
Yeah.
The first 3.5 years, I was really good about putting instructions on there. The
Okay.
last 9 months or so, I've been really lousy.
Okay.
I've gotten really far behind.
Okay.
But most of those have instructions out there,
All right.
and I'm working on getting caught up on those
Okay.
because I love putting the instructions, telling the parents exactly what's going on,
Sure.
step-by-step instructions, and then I always gave, okay, if that worked, try this.
And
what
they
would
don't
happen?
always have to buy like a fancy kit. Some of it's
Exactly.
like household things. You've
Yeah.
got
Yep.
balloons and
All kinds
tennis
of stuff.
balls and,
Yep.
and some different things. Okay.
Yes.
Well, great. It's been great having you here, Rick.
It's been
Thank you
great
very
being
much.
here. Thank you so much for
And,
having me.
You can check out his program online at our website, www.scld.org. You can pick up Engage, and it's a little bit in the back in the kids section. Sign up for his Extreme Science with Radical Rick Forces
Yes.
at the library on Saturdays. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Library Out Loud is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Library Out Loud is brought to you by the Spokane County Library District and STCU. Go visit and explore your local library today.